here at Grand Prix Oklahoma City. That's Ben Sec. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe. We're ready. Let's head on down. It's time for the next round. Actually, we're not ready. Hold on a second. Let me just take a quick look. I'm going to tell you who we're playing or who we're going to watch. We're going to watch Corey Burkhart, and we're going to watch Zach Keathley. And they're ready now. Let's head on down. It's time for the next round of action here from Grand Prix Oklahoma City. Hello and welcome back to coverage here at Grand Prix Oklahoma City. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Ben Sec.
Yeah.
Who do we have down here? I see Corey Burkhart. Don't know what he's playing. I'm assuming Grixis because it's Corey Burkhart.
Yeah, no, I actually just was walking around the floor, and actually, obviously, Corey loves his Grixis control.
Creeping Tar Pit. Hello, my friend. Oh, I love that card. One of my favorite lands ever. Uh-oh, he's got a tough matchup here, though. Zach Keathley's on burn.
Yep.
Suspends a Rift Bolt on turn one. Tick-tock, Corey Burkhart.
Single-minded.
Game over?
No, I don't think it's game over.
80%er?
No, I don't think it's like
10%? It's Corey Burkhart. He's unbeatable.
It's true. I mean, Corey really navigates these matchups really well. He understands how much he can take, how much he can push. He generally plays this Grixis control deck quite aggressively. He tries to play an early threat. Either usually a Tasigur, the Golden Fang.
Tasigur. Mm-hmm.
And so he just tries to put a clock on his opponent, and so he actually taps out much, much more aggressively than the average control player. But Burn is a tough matchup because Corey does have a lot of these removal spells that aren't as great against the Burn deck.
Well, that's a must-kill.
That is a must-kill. I think he...
Ooh, he's going to take a hit here. Is he going to get a basic mountain? Yeah. And he's going to go ahead and terminate.
I actually think he might have a Mana
Leak, there,
which is actually kind of interesting because if he casts a Mana Leak, he could not take the 2 from the Eidolon trigger. Mm-hmm. But I think he knows that the Mana Leak may be more valuable a bit later.
On a burn spell. So Corey's going to drop down to 14. He took 1 from the fetch and 2 from the Eidolon itself.
Yeah, one of the additions that Corey's made to the deck, fairly good option. He has Search for Azcanta.
That could be a game changer. We was talking with Jake about Search for Azcanta before, and he said he likes it. He said he's found it to be very powerful in Modern.
Yeah, and I mean, I think in Corey's deck, it pretty much gets most of the cards in his deck, and especially with the fetch lands and other cantrip effects, it's actually very, very easy to do it to get to flip Search for Azcanta.
So nothing from Zach, but we will see this play pattern sometimes happen in this matchup where it's really kind of on Corey to start to deploy his threats or at least start to get his game plan rolling, where Zach can just sit there and react. He can stack up 2 or 3 burn spells and start firing them off on end step, although he's going to do it right now.
It's Boros Charm.
Yeah, that's one that you would probably like to trade a counter for.
Yeah, it's very tempting to fire off this Mana Leak before it becomes 2.
I mean, that's the most you're going to take from 1 burn spell, right?
It's true. The thing is,
there it is. Mana Leak.
He may be worried about some of the more continual sources of damage like creatures. That being said, 4 is a lot. So Zach's actually playing the Naya version of the deck. Usually the Naya version of the deck uses green mostly in the sideboard, usually for something like Ancient Grudge or Destructive Revelry, though some have some green cards in the main deck. The white part of the deck generally played for both the Boros Charm and Lightning Helix.
Of course, gives them access to Path to Exile and such if they want. Out of the board.
Yep, they also have some cards like Deflecting Palm, which is generally very good in matchups like Grixis Shadow, the Mirror, quite good at. Corey's, I think, trying to think what Zach is thinking here. I think Zach just drew a Monastery Swift Spear. I think he has another Eidolon in his hand.
Let's see how he wants to deploy these threats. He could just kick things off with the Swift Spear. Oh, no. Looks like he's going to go ahead and go for the Eidolon.
Now, Corey in his hand actually has... he's a Kolaghan's Command, so that fits quite well. I mean, he'll take 2 damage from the Eidolon.
You know how that adds up, that incidental damage.
That's really interesting. So Zach sequenced his spells in such a way where he took 2 from the Monastery Swift Spear. Basically, he was baiting Corey to counter the Eidolon rather than the Swift Spear.
Yeah, he did have 2 mana available at the time, though it's a little weird because if he leads with the Swift Spear, then Corey cannot mana leak the Swift Spear, so he gets to resolve it no matter what.
Right.
And then he can play the Eidolon, not take the 2 damage, and that's going to get mana leaked either way if Corey has a mana leak and decides that he wants to use it on it. The way he did it this way is he gave Corey the maximum number of options. He could mana leak either of the 2 spells, and Zach took an extra 2 damage.
Okay. Corey's actually at like 10 life is not a bad spot to be in going to turn 5. Playing Kolaghan's Command.
Well, the board's cleared out. Like you said, at 10, it's not too bad.
And he actually made Zach discard a card, and he discarded a Helix, which is, I mean, that's really good for Corey. Like, it means that he got like a quality spell and the Swift Spear off the table. I think Zach is down to 1 or 2 cards in his hand. Corey's going to actually flip the Search for Azcanta the next turn, so he's actually going to go up to 6 mana too.
You mean transform it?
Yes.
You know, flip cards are from Kamigawa Block, man. Have you
yes.
ever heard that before?
I have heard.
Was it from me?
Perhaps.
I love getting you on that. Oh, easy game. All right, here's Lightning Helix. So Corey Burkhart falling down to 5. 2 spells.
2 spells.
Right, just 2 resolve spells away.
But he does have the Sunken Ruin now.
Yeah.
That transforms.
Well played. But he doesn't have a lot going on. What does he have? Cryptic Command Damnation?
Cryptic Command Damnation. So he does have some way to kind of like bridge into the next turn.
Right, but okay, so if I'm in Corey's seat, though, I always find myself in this position, and then I'm like, but I need to kill him, right? Like, my job is to get him from 16 to 0, and he's going to have how many draw steps before that happens? 5?
Well, the thing is, I mean...
7?
Every turn with Azcanta is going to, like, probably save him against 1 burn spell, because...
Oh, you think it's going to... I mean, really? Like, Mana Leak doesn't look so hot anymore.
Mana Leak is not as hot. I mean, he just got a Spell Snare, which is covers a lot of the cards.
That's true. He also has 4 copies of Snapcaster Mage, as you would expect, and that can get back a lot of these type of effects.
Though he can't get the Snapcaster from the Azcanta, he actually revealed one.
Yeah, but he can just draw it.
Yeah.
He's got 4.
And
that's what I would do if I were him. I would draw a Snapcaster Mage, strategically speaking.
You're very good at the game. But Zach only has 2 cards in his hand and hasn't been deploying that many spells.
That's right.
So it's very possible that he's just not got the density right now.
Yeah, he doesn't. Right now his hand is Boros, Charm, and a land. There's a Logic Knot. Now, that one's another hard counter. Okay, yeah, no, your point is starting to really show itself. And by the way...
he followed your advice.
He did. Corey Burkhart strategically decided to draw a Snapcaster Mage there. Well played, Corey. Very smart. So how does this game end if Corey wins it?
So Corey basically should be able to get one of his delve threats. So, as I said before, Tassiger.
Okay.
It's possible that he'll actually have like Snapcaster and like flashback, some lightning bolts or something like that. He really is looking for a threat right now. I mean, he does have a creeping tar pit, but he can't really effectively attack with it, and make sure that like a card like Cryptic Command is still open.
He's going to go for the Logic Knot, which is the hardest counter that he has in his hand. And it looks like he's going to tap one land extra and then exile enough cards. He needs to exile. He needs to make X equals 6.
Yeah. So the reason he's actually going for the Logic Knot is he wants to still be able to use the Azcanta at the end of turn. So
/ leave up.
Yeah.
Will he actually do it? Right? Because like we know that Zach, for example, has Boros Charm in his hand.
Yeah.
And if Corey's like, sure, I'll activate Azcanta, it could put him at 1 life.
I mean, Zach is definitely thinking of just running it out there, and now I think Corey's not gonna actually activate it.
Not with that spell snare in his hand.
Oh, he does. Okay, now.
Oh, respond, and he's just gonna put himself to 1. So maximum punishment for Burkhart, but he figures, look, I need to keep digging with this thing to win this game, and 1.
Yeah,
not the same thing as 0. Is it?
Yeah, I mean, as long as he has that last counter spell for every spell, every burn spell that he has, I think he'll be fine. Though we did draw a polluted Delta, which is effectively dead.
That's not going to do anything.
It may be time for Corey to turn the corner by casting the Snapcaster Mage and starting to attack.
I mean, It only would be 3 turns with the Tar Pit and the Snapcaster. How much mana can he leave up? These are the things he has to consider.
He only has 2 counters, one of which is a Cryptic Command, the other is a Spell Snare. Mm-hmm. So he can cover like probably 2 burn spells, hopefully.
But again, the holding pattern's the problem, right? He needs to be applying some level of pressure at some point. He's got a lot of dead cards in his hand, too.
Yeah, I think what he's going to be doing is casting that Snapcaster pretty quickly because he needs to start putting that clock on.
What does Zach find, and how does he want to approach? Oh, maybe a Goblin Guide? Yeah,
Goblin Guide.
I had the Soul Read on the Goblin Guide. And interestingly, Corey can't take a hit. Now, one thing he could do here is utilize Snapcaster Mage to block. He also could just put Tar Pit in the way. There's no cards for Zach, so it's a safe block if he wants to leverage, that. So he has options. He's not going to die to this Goblin Guy.
Yeah. But he actually doesn't want to tap out too much blue. I think it's actually pretty.
Why is that?
Because he has a Cryptic Command and a Spell Snare, so he wants to make sure that he has access to them.
Well, but Zach's out of cards.
Oh, so sure.
Yeah.
Right now it's fine.
Yeah. So right now he can do. He has full flexibility on how he wants to manage and leverage his resources. And he decided to go for the Cryptic Command there. And he also used Fatal Push to kill, so he left his Snapcaster Mage alive, and now he finally has a clock, and this is really what he needed.
Yep.
Oop. Draw go from Zach.
So
and that's going to prompt Corey to...
He's going to Colligan's Command in the draw step.
So that was not draw go, that was draw, and Corey says, I'd like to have a little bit of an effect here.
What he did was, I think he did 2 damage to Zach, so he reduced it by a turn. He doesn't actually stop most of the instant burn spells with that play, but he does stop the sorcery ones and creatures.
And haste creatures, yep. And every creature is lethal.
That's true. Anything's lethal.
Everything's lethal. The only thing that's not are lands, which is what he happened to hit on that one.
Corey does like living on the razor's edge, so I don't think Corey's actually going to tap low. So I
think he's just going to bolt him, and then he can activate his Creeping Tar Pit and hit him for 5 if he can keep up a counter spell.
Yep.
Oop, upkeep, bolt you. I got the reads today.
So Corey's not dead. He does have his Cryptic Command, but it does actually expose him a little bit. So I believe that Zach is actually bolting him in his upkeep.
That's right.
So what that will do is it will tap him out down to actually only a single blue, if he counters. But
Yeah, you're right.
But then if he
Nice
casts,
polluted Delta collection there. It's just a pool of nonsense.
so actually one of the worst draws, like if there's a Rift Bolt, Zach can actually just hard cast it, and I believe Corey has no like way right now of actually dealing with a Rift Bolt.
Tick-tock.
So this is the Rift Bolt is the thing that Zach needs right now. If he draws a 2-mana burn spell, it's not good.
But a 1-mana burn spell would be good, right? Oh, it's a Goblin Guide.
But Corey has it covered.
He's got the bolt.
He's got the bolt. He actually also has a Dismember, so he's likely to use the Dismember.
Yeah, he can actually cast it for full price. And hello, there's
Oh.
Tassiger, though it probably won't matter. Dismember, pay full price, kill that. And this is just good, clean use of Corey's mana.
Yep.
He tapped out completely there, but kept himself more options later. And now he can just bolt you, activate Creeping Tar Pit, attack you for 5. And that is game going to Corey Burkhart. A masterful display here from the god of Grixis himself, Corey Burkhart.
I mean, you have 19 life points to play with, so you don't have to use. You can use them all. And Corey used every single one of those.
I'm glad you said 19. If you said 20, you don't want to spend that last one, do you? Wow, that was insane. And now let's take a look at what Ari Lax is up to. He's playing against Thomas Guan.
Yeah, so
And what do we have? What do we got on the battlefield here? I see that there's an Arbor Elf,
yep,
and that's a Huntmaster of the Fells.
right.
Okay, that's like a promo, a special one. 2 Molten Rain. So yeah, we're looking at Ponza here. And yeah, there it is, right? Green
Yeah.
Ponza. So tell us what this deck's all about.
So it basically tries to get onto the board with some efficient creatures, and then back that up with land destruction. So a combination of like Molten Rain, Stone Rain, try to keep the opposing decks off, like casting their bigger spells. And it used to be a really, really popular deck, like way back in the day, and so it's not necessarily something that a lot of people are going to, though if you're not really expecting it, it can really, really like hamper a lot of decks like Tron, Scape Shift, a lot of the mid-range decks.
Tron, it's completely nightmarish. They're running, main deck, Blood Moons, all the land destruction spell. Like you're never getting Tron against them, ever.
And the way that they actually get ahead is that they actually have a lot of 1-mana, like mana elves. And so they're able to play their Molten Rains and their Stone Rains on turn 2. So you may not ever even get a third land into play.
I'm assuming that these Molten Rains here from Thomas have just been revealed at some point, and he's just being polite or, helpful by not. But they're actually in his hand.
Yep.
Because he just cast one. He doesn't actually have enough mana to cast the other. But Ari Lax is just having his mana base destroyed here. And he does have double Death Shadow, though, and they're big.
Yeah, they're both 7/7s, and he does have a Bloodstained Mire to make them bigger. One of the funny things about the Grixis Shadow deck, it doesn't actually have that many mana-producing lands. It has about 7 or 8, depending, and then a lot of fetches. So it's possible to actually knock them off color completely if the sequencing is right.
That's funny. Of course, Ari's going to be keenly aware of that and making sure that the lands that he fetches up are going to give him the most options possible, even if one were to die.
Yep. That's actually one of the reasons why he is likely keeping the Bloodstained Mire untapped, because he may just want to keep it just in case to fetch the color that he needs.
Look at this. He's going to force a chump block here. He's going to play an untapped Blood Crypt to take 2. And then he's going to Fatal Push away the token, leaving just the Huntmaster of the Fells. And Thomas is like, hey, I'm going to blow up all your lands. And Ari's like, I need 1. Here's my 2, 9/9s.
Yeah,
1 mana each. Like, I don't care if you blow up my lands. I'm going to kill you.
Basically, both of these are lethal next turn. Even though he's at 10, he has the fetch land to go to 3 and make them 10/10. So he has to deal with both of these Death Shadows, and that's pretty tall order.
That's game. Yeah, I mean, Thomas just passed the turn back, and that's going to do it. Ari Lax wins the match 2-2 to 0, and boy, he showed his hand, and he had a bunch of good blue counter spells there too.
Yeah.
Stubborn denial and stuff, just saying you weren't going to resolve anything of relevance.
It wasn't really a good matchup for the Ponza deck because the Grixis Shadow deck, most of their
That's an
spells are one.
understatement, yeah.
Most of the spells are 1 mana, so keeping them to 1 or 2 mana, like even on the draw, is just, they can still cast a lot of their spells. Looks like, I was thinking that maybe Zach was mulliganing, but I don't think so. So after sideboarding,
Does it get better or worse for Zach?
So here's the cards that I think he'll bring in. He brings in Path to Exile because, maybe he doesn't actually. I'm trying to think about. There's not actually that many great cards in his sideboard. The cards he could bring in are like Paths, but Corey doesn't really care about his creatures until it's too late.
Yeah, and you're not going to win a game by pathing a bunch of Snapcaster Mages.
Rest in Peace is an interesting card that Zach could bring in, and I probably would bring it in. It makes his Delve spells worse. It makes his Search for Azcanta not able to transform. And so I think the combination may be good enough, though you don't want to take out too many burn spells out of your deck because you want a critical mass of that. Corey's deck doesn't get too much better. It gets in a Dispel, a Collective Brutality, which actually can take a burn spell and gain 2 life for himself. Those 2 cards are probably the ones he wants to bring in. But he does get rid of cards like Damnation, which are way too clunky in this matchup.
Lava Spike you. Good start there for Zach. That's exactly what you want to do. Just send that message nice and early going upstairs. Back to Burkhart, who's just going to play an island and pass. Corey
playing the superior unlands.
Oh, I see. So in the unland power rankings, you have Unhinged number 1.
Number 1.
Now this is important. What's number 2?
I think.
Is it unglued or unstable?
I
know you're not a huge fan of the completely borderless look, but what do you think about an obscenely huge border?
I really don't like the unglued ones that much.
That's because they're absolutely hideous. So you're going to put them last?
I'm going to put them last.
Even though they're more functional in your mind?
They are more functional, but I think the aesthetics of them at the time, not great. Though they were the first full art.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to give them a little bit of credit.
Do I?
I mean, you could give them a little bit of credit.
I've chosen not to. There's Lightning Helix. We see Counter Squall. That came in out of the board, I believe, from Corey.
Yeah, counters most
2 of them.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
It counters most of the spells out of Zach's deck.
Yeah, it's just negate. They lose 2 life.
Right, just an extra bit of value.
Mm-hmm. But in Corey's deck with the intense mana, he can just cast it basically as negate. It rarely comes up to bite you.
Yeah, no, for sure. Corey already at 14. What Zach really wanted to do is get onto the board with a creature early.
Yes, turn 1 Goblin Guide. That's what you don't want to see.
Yeah.
Because the thing can be capable of dealing 6, 8, 10, 12 damage. You have to kill it.
Yeah, if you try and burn someone down, you need 5 or 6 spells.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of spells to have to string together through a deck that has a reasonable amount of counter spells.
But creatures?
I mean, the thing is, Corey does have creature removal. He has Lightning Bolt.
Of course.
He has Fatal Push.
Yep.
But you need to get some value out of the creatures, either casting an Eidolon or a Goblin Guide, hoping that they do 4, 6 damage out of the creatures, even though they might get covered later.
Here's a Tarka's Command. It's going to be spell snared here from Burkhart. So he keeps his life total buoyed at a cool 13. But lots of cards still in hand here for Zach, though. I got to say, Ben, I think I saw a couple of sideboard cards. I think I see Rest in Peace and Path to Exile. This is the extreme downside of bringing in these non-on game plan cards.
Yeah, I don't think...
And what a perfect turn sequence for Corey.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
How much damage does that do?
Pretty much
0.
Yeah, pretty much nothing at all.
No, I meant damage.
Oh.
Right? Does my life total change? No, then I'm fine with it.
I mean, there's a lot of cards that it turns off. It turns out Snapcaps Amaze.
Of course. It is not a 0. That is true.
But with Corey at 13, I think Zach would have preferred that would be a burn spell.
Or a creature or
something.
A threat.
And now Corey is in the cryptic command phase of the game.
Oh, the best phase of the game.
And he looks like he has a pretty reasonable hand. He's got a logic knot, I think 1 or 2 lightning bolts, a cryptic command, and a black card that I can't.
Yeah, Tassiger maybe?
Yeah,
no, it might be a collective brutality.
Oh, that's actually pretty good too.
Yeah, he has 1 in his sideboard, so that's probably what that is.
I mean,
really good.
Yeah, effective is like a 6-life swing if you think about it.
Yes, kill something, yeah. Take away. Even more maybe, right? I mean, it's insane, right?
Yeah. No. It's a pretty huge deal, especially if you get a creature as well.
Oh, God, yeah. All right, the cryptic command portion of our game involves Corey just playing lands and passing so far, while Zach does the same, either just draws or plays a land. He did find a Goblin Guide there, though, so we'll probably see that hit the battlefield.
Yeah, no reason to sit back on that. Corey's likely to...
Ooh,
a little bit of value. And then...
This is a good target for collective brutality.
Yeah, I think he might... Oh,
just fire off a bolt here.
Yeah.
Fair enough. He's passed the turn back, and now Corey's deciding if he wants to use his fetch land as Polluted Delta. No, he's decided against it as he draws another one, passes the turn back to Zach.
I mean, if...
Weird holding pattern here.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if Corey cares to bounce the Rest in Peace. Probably not. It's probably not hurting him enough.
Yeah, if he had a very specific sequence in mind, where it was like bounce that, bolt you, Snapcaster, bolt, Snapcaster, but something like that, then I could see.
So he casts Corrective Brutality, escalating it once. He's basically using the discard ability and draining Zach for 2.
Draining and duressing is what he's doing. Oh man, 2 very awkward Searing Blazes there. And there's that path I noticed earlier. Why is that in?
I mean...
He wants to kill a creeper? Creeping Tar Pit?
Yeah.
He's giving it mad respect?
I mean, it's...
I love me a Creeping Tar Pit, don't get me wrong, but maybe just for Tassiger?
Yeah, but it's not on plan. I think you can justify it. There are cards that...
Tassiger, yeah.
Uh-huh. But overall, I don't think it's really worth it. Because you get into situations like this where all you want is more pressure, like more burn, and he has some of these like clunky cards. I also think that I probably would consider getting rid of the Searing Blazes. They're just not...
Just lack of targets.
Yeah, it's not enough.
By the way, that was Tassiger off top of the library for Burkhart.
The hard way.
Yep.
But at 15 life, he can afford to actually tap 6.
Yeah, now this is a very real clock. It's going to force Zach to react.
He's probably going to use the path.
Right. That seems to be what he brought it in for, so sure.
But Corey knows this. He actually left the path in the hand. Corey does have, if he really, really wants to counter it, he can cast his Logic Knot. Oh, actually, no, he can't because he does not have a graveyard. There's a lot of cards that this Rest in Peace is actually hurting.
Yeah, they do hurt them, but they don't completely shut them off. Like, you still get to play. Even your worst case, like a Snapcaster Mage, is still a card that's relevant to the game, just as a, we call it an Ambush Viper.
It's not great.
It's true. It's also not a Viper. All right. He's found a target for his Searing Blaze. Even though it won't actually kill Tassiger, that is a way that he can get 3 damage upstairs to Burkhart.
And he's probably going to use another bolt path. Okay.
There it is.
Yeah, so what he wanted to do, he wanted to use the Searing Blaze first so he could actually do the damage before he pathed it, just to make sure that he had a target for the Searing Blaze.
Yep. There was a decent chance that he doesn't see one this game outside of that.
Yeah, or not before he needs to.
Right, exactly, within the time frame. Land off the top there for Burkhart, but he's got Serum Vision, so he can get something rolling here. He finds Kolaghan's Command, another card that is damaged by Rest in Peace.
Mm-hmm.
You know, his super long-term game plan is almost unbeatable, but with Rest in Peace out, it shuts off basically all of that.
Yeah.
You know, Tassiger becomes a vanilla creature. Same with Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah, Corey has to play a little bit more of a careful game because, like, as you said, his long-term advantages are much more muted with Rest in Peace. And so it's gonna be a while before he actually is able to kill Zach because, one, he can't return anything with Kolaghan's Command.
Do you think he's going to be able to kill Zach?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, Ambush Viper.
Mm-hmm. Amelia.
I always like the Thought Scour targeting your opponent. You get to show them what for.
That's right. If you're not going to get a graveyard anyway, you can't benefit from it. You might as well get a little bit of information. Bolton response from Zach. Wow, Zach's kind of unloading here.
Yeah, so Corey's going to take the chance to actually Logic Knot it while he can, because Logic Knot, he's going to have to pay 5 mana to actually counter something, so it's going to be clunky to keep too long. He found a really important one. Creeping Tar Pit allows him to close the game in probably 2 turns, because he has a Bolt in hand too.
It's definitely the best card on the table. LOL Snapcaster Mage. Boom! Take 5.
Okay.
God, I love Creeping Tar Pit.
Does a lot of damage.
Creep can roll, man. And you're right. Look at this clock. He's down to 6.
Yep.
He's fire up that Creeping Tar Pit and ride. Put you to 1. And you know that Zach can't interact with a Lightning Bolt. But Corey also really has no incentive to just fire it off in case Zach does have something like, say, a Lightning Helix.
Yeah. And he can respond and kill his opponent.
He can just respond and kill him. And look at this. He's got a lethal Tar Pit here that, once again, Zach really can't do anything about with 1 card. If he says, I'll kill your Tar Pit, Corey says, I have a response. And, this is smart play, by the way. I think a lot of people might look at this and think that Corey's playing with his food, right? That he's, doing that, but he's not. He's actually making sure that even the most intricate and unlikely of lines will not lead to a loss to Corey. And he masterfully maneuvers that match and wins the game, wins it 2-0. We're going to be back with more Magic here from Grand Prix Oklahoma City after these messages.